Welcome back to Paul's Tech News. December is here, which means it's time to navigate the end of the year shuffle, where we simultaneously get to deal with everything from gift buying, holiday parties, and tasteful seasonal decorating, to taxes, bad traffic, and getting to all those outstanding appointments and responsibilities that you've been putting off for the other 11 months of the year. Oh, and don't forget to make time for idyllic, peaceful fireside moments with family and loved ones, and be sure to have everything prepared for next year too, so you can start 2022 off on the right foot. It's enough to make you want to throw up your hands, toss your to-do list out the window, and guzzle a pint or two of eggnog. But thankfully, there's at least one thing you can keep up with easily this holiday season, even if you've had to break out the Christmas spirits a bit early. The tech news. Cheers. I was all out of eggnog.
Excellent!
Today's video was brought to you by the new Lightwings fans from Be Quiet, which combine legendary near-silent operation with optimal performance and, of course, RGB lighting. Control the look of your PC with up to 20 addressable LEDs per fan, and choose from standard PWM for airflow or PWM high speed for use with radiators and heat sinks. They're available in 120mm and 140mm sizes and suitable for any build in need of a functional and tasteful RGB upgrade. So for more on the new Lightwings fans from Be Quiet, click the sponsor link in the video description.
Another thing about December in the northern hemisphere at least is that the weather can get a bit dicey. That means I can reuse a graphic. It's time for the GPU weather report. Gamers and industry analysts were all like, WTF on Friday when a JPR report showed a whopping 25.7% increase in add-in board shipments in Q3 2021 year over year. That's as compared to Q3 2020. The 12.1 million units shipped in Q3 2021 is also up 10.9% versus Q2, leading many to ask, where are all the GPUs going? Prices have been rising steadily since midsummer. Retail outlets that stock GPUs seem to get a trickle at best of units and typically have order quantity limits, and sentiment amongst PC gamers seems to be that buying at inflated prices is a bad idea. The answer, of course, is inflated demand due to GPU cryptocurrency mining, and any increase in the quantity of cards produced has likely been offset by brokers or add-in board manufacturers themselves selling directly in bulk to mining operations. This is just speculation, of course. I mean, it's not like there are any published real-world numbers to back that up. The stormy weather continues with more Radeon GPU pricing news, once again sourced from the Board Channels forum over in China. Base costs are going up by 3 to 6%, or about 16 to 78 US dollars, affecting every model except the 6900 XT. This is on top of the 9% hike the 6000 series received back in October, and is expected to affect sales in 1 to 2 weeks. If we give Gigabyte the benefit of the doubt and assume that these increases are needed due to component shortages and increased shipping and logistics costs, then other AIBs will likely be doing the same. It's difficult to say if this will affect street prices though, which are already inflated well beyond the bulk distributor pricing shown here, even after the recent increases. It's difficult to say in general when the chill winds of the GPU shortage winter will finally give way to the promise of springtime and hope and all that bullshit, but things might not shift back in the way you'd expect. We'd love to see GPU mining suddenly go away, leading to a flash crash in GPU prices or a flood of cards on the used market, but some are steeling themselves for a leaner future where we rely on cards like the RTX 2060 12GB, now confirmed to be coming soon, likely in Q1 2022. NVIDIA officially announced the card with an hour-long presentation by Digital Jensen with a bunch of cool effects and fanfare. I'm just kidding. They confirmed it in the liner notes of the GeForce 497.09 WCL driver that went live Wednesday. No official announcement or even spec sheet has been shared, but the card is undoubtedly on its way, as NVIDIA probably wouldn't have bothered with the driver support otherwise. Let me know in the comments what you think of this card though. Are you happy that there might be a budget option on the table for gamers again? Or are you a little insulted at NVIDIA not seeming to want to talk about it and being like, oh, PC gamers, I forgot you were there. Here's some last-gen tech. You may go now. At the other end of NVIDIA's GPU stack is the rumored GeForce RTX 3090 Ti, which might use Micron's latest 21 gigabits per second GDDR6X memory modules if yet another Twitter leaker known as Unico's hardware is to be believed. That would be a step up from the 19.5 gigabits per second memory on the 3090 non-Ti, but perhaps more significantly the module named that Unico shared, MT61K512M32KPA-21U, indicates a 16 gigabit or 2 gigabyte module capacity, meaning NVIDIA could get by with 12 of them instead of 24 and would not need to position them on the back of the PCB where cooling can be a challenge. Cooling might be a challenge in general if the 3090 Ti's rumored 450 watt TDP is also true, but hopefully we'll find out soon as it's expected to launch in January, sometime after the also rumored RTX 3080 12GB and RTX 3070 Ti 16GB. Here ends the GPU weather report, and remember, if things get too dire this winter, you can always cut open your PC and crawl inside for warmth. Or you could get warm by getting yourself invited to the Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit, which took place in Hawaii this week and gave insiders and analysts a first look at the successor to the Snapdragon 888, the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, expected in actual devices by the end of this year, which incidentally is in less than 4 weeks. It's built on Samsung's 4nm process and will also probably power the Samsung Galaxy S22, expected in February 2022. Apart from tossing their naming scheme out the window with the 8 Gen 1, Samsung is promising 30% more speed and 25% more power savings, which is good. And while the camera has a better image signal processor that can capture more detail and is also faster, allowing up to 240 burst shots per second, it also has an always-on function that looks for your face to potentially unlock the phone, which raises some privacy flags. The red ones. Not the black ones, those are piracy flags. Another new product that garnered some attention at the event was the handheld gaming device developed in collaboration with Razer, called the Razer Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 Developer Kit for now. It's an Android device with a special variant of the new Snapdragon SoC called the G3X, designed for gaming with an Adreno GPU that can run games at 144 frames per second. Whether or not you approve of the look of the Batwings style device, the specs are quite nice, with mobile SoC extras like 5G and Wi-Fi 6E support, and USB-C output to a 4K display or mixed reality headset. The dev kit is available now through Razer, but may or may not receive a full consumer launch in the future. The idea is to get a functional device into the hands of developers to encourage future products based on the underlying hardware. Speaking of Razer, company CEO Min-Lang Tan tweeted on Monday that their laptop prices will be going up. Not sure by how much, but enough that he thought he should give advanced warning, and you wouldn't be blamed for thinking that this is a familiar refrain. Things are getting more expensive, inflation is rampant, and your money is worth less and less every day. Tan cites significant increases in component cost as the reason, possibly alluding to chip companies like TSMC raising their prices by as much as 20%, but a Razer laptop is already quite expensive, particularly their Blade series, so at what point do these increases start to seriously impact sales? We'll likely get a better idea of how much prices are going to go up sometime in Q1 2022 when Intel's mobile 12th gen CPUs hit mass market. One thing that might help consumer pricing, particularly for in-demand tech components like GPUs and DDR5 memory, would be if they could only be purchased by an actual person, and not a bot, which is the goal of a bill introduced by 4 US congressmen this week. The details of the unfortunately named Stopping Grinch Bots Act are still unknown, but framers say it would level the playing field and prevent scalpers from sucking hardworking parents dry this holiday season. Never mind the unlikelihood of such legislation passing in a timely enough manner to affect this year's sales. There's also the very good question of how this would be enforced. But if I may set my natural cynicism aside for just a moment, I do hope that somehow, miraculously, this act or something like it goes through to at least establish a precedent that botting and scalping are unacceptable in civilized society. GPUs aren't even the worst affected product. That would be sneakers and game consoles. Speaking of things I don't have a good segue for, AMD and Intel have both formally announced their CES 2022 keynote presentations, taking place January 4th, with AMD kicking off at 8 a.m. Pacific and Intel following up at 10. NVIDIA is also likely to present, but they haven't confirmed a date or time. Intel is expected to announce mobile 12th gen Core Alder Lake P CPUs, as well as a wider range of non-K desktop CPUs to complement the 12900K, 12700K, and 12600K that launched in November, and more 600 series motherboard chipsets too. Perhaps more hotly anticipated are Intel's new Arc Alchemist discrete GPUs, expected in mobile trim at first, but many hope for launch date announcements even if they're further out in the quarter. AMD will likely announce the Ryzen 6000H high-end mobile series based on 6nm Zen 3 Plus and featuring RDNA 2 graphics for the first time, as well as Ryzen 6000 series desktop CPUs with 3D V-Cache, which were first teased at Computex 2021. We're also hearing of AMD's upcoming graphics solutions, although that could just mean more Radeon 6000 series GPUs like the 6500 XT. CES will be an in-person event this year, although attendance is expected to be half of what it was pre-COVID. I will be covering it remotely from the comfort of my home, in case you were wondering. Speaking of maximizing your comfort, how about some tech briefs? EA launched Battlefield 2042 on November 19th, and things have not been going well since. Steam player counts have dropped 70% in about 2 weeks, from 100,000 down to 30k, and everything from in-game bugs to Microsoft surprise launching Halo Infinite at the same time has caused many to wonder about the game's future, particularly when trying to populate 128 player matches. Now add this, backlash over Christmas-themed player and vehicle skins, including a Santa outfit and reindeer wraps for tanks and helicopters. Given the stark future dystopia themes of the game and the ongoing technical issues, EA's attempt to inject some levity was not well received, and it has been added to the naughty list for now. Speaking of the naughty list, the United States FTC added another entry to it Thursday, NVIDIA's ARM acquisition, which the FTC sued to block because it would give NVIDIA the means and incentive to stifle innovative next-generation technologies, including those used to run data centers and driver assistance systems in cars. It would also give NVIDIA access to the competitively sensitive information of ARM's licensees, some of whom are NVIDIA's rivals. And you know, they make a good point. FTC commissioners voted 4-0 to issue the administrative complaint, and the trial is scheduled to begin on August 9th, 2022. Back in January, networking giant Ubiquiti was reportedly the victim of a security incident that developed over several months. By April, news of the supposed breach had gained momentum, and many outlets, including me, my show, reported on it, causing Ubiquiti's stock price to lose about $4 billion in market cap and trust in the company to be eroded. Turns out it was an inside job though, and Nicholas Sharp, former Ubiquiti employee, was arrested Wednesday and charged with data theft and attempting to extort his employer. Nick was responsible for the data theft in January, and when Ubiquiti wouldn't pony up his $2 million ransom, he posed as the whistleblower. He was the whistleblower. He blew himself and was referenced in the Krebs on Security article that caused the situation to blow up back in March. Sharp now faces a maximum sentence of 37 years if found guilty, which would no doubt give him plenty of free time to blow himself in the future. Speaking of autofellatio, Lamborghini owners. They're a special kind of person, presumably with impeccable taste, who are incredibly difficult to please, but chairmaker Secretlab thinks they have created the right kind of chair for this audience in a collaboration with Lamborghini themselves. A gaming chair called the Automobili Lamborghini Pinnacle Edition, which features the same Alcantara and carbon fiber finish as actual Lamborghinis in a design inspired by the pure emotion of the ride. Unfortunately, it's not available until 2022, and there's no price listed, so we can't gauge the pure emotion on your face when you see how ridiculously expensive they are. Lastly, Microsoft is up to their slimy Edge shenanigans once again, using every opportunity at their disposal to push their oft-maligned browser onto the unsuspecting masses. I feel like every time Edge has gained the slightest bit of acceptance, because you know, it's not a horrible browser or anything, Microsoft pulls something like this to make me hate Edge based purely on principle. Apart from the silly and convoluted steps that you now have to go through to change your default browser in Windows 11, there are now security pop-ups in Edge that trigger if you visit the Chrome download page with stupid catty messages like, "That browser is so 2008, or "I hate saving money, said no one ever." And sure, you could argue that Google has made it similarly difficult to access non-Google search engines with their Android platform, and that would be fair. Which is why the real big brain move right now is to just use Firefox. So there you have it guys, tech news for the week, and I'll finish my beer. Cheers. I should probably savor the Pliny the Elder's unique flavor a little bit more, but you know what? I'm just gearing up for the Awesome Hardware charity live stream. Reminder, it's very, very soon, Saturday, December 11th, starting at about 10 a.m. Pacific or so. So mark your calendars and join Kyle and I for some games, giveaways, and fundraising for Children's Miracle Network hospitals through Extra Life. Your feedback on today's show is always welcome though, so please feel free to leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all the articles I talked about today are linked in the description if you're interested in further reading. And you can also click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Check out my store at paulshardware.net for a selection of excellent merchandise options, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one in the future. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you next week.